used to drink Linden Village, but now I live there. It's based on a true story.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks a million for coming in. Thanks for having me here, Yvonne, and everybody at Creative Mornings. Thank you all for getting up really early and coming in to hear me talk about my work and about fashion in Ireland. I want to start off, first of all, by saying thank you to my cousin Johnny, who is a total legend, and He won't tell you anything about himself, but you don't really need to hear anything about him other than listen to his music. It's definitely my favourite soundtrack to start any day, and while I've been his cousin all of his life, because I'm obviously older and wiser, we have been very close friends for about 20 years now probably, and also close collaborators. Basically, any crazy creative project that I am doing over the years, I've roped Johnny in, and he's always slagging me about bubble wrap dresses and tinfoil hats, and because obviously that's just what fashion is. But he will create analog cassette tapes for an art show that I'm doing, or play live music at events, or write about fashion and folklore. He's actually an archivist at the UCD folklore, at the Irish Folklore Archive in UCD. He's an incredibly knowledgeable person about Ireland, folklore, language, culture, even fashion in Ireland now. But anyway, so I just really wanted to say thank you to Johnny for starting that off. And I'm going to read a little bit because I just wanted to check. It's 20 minutes, isn't it? Thereabouts, yeah. But not 3 hours. But I am just gonna stick with my notes a bit, because I could talk for 20 minutes about one image usually. So I'm going to talk about 3 projects today, which are all different platforms that I've worked on to showcase fashion in Ireland in different ways. So just a little bit about me first of all, and a little intro to my career. I've been working as a stylist in Ireland for over 20 years now, definitely. But I have a master's in cinema from DCU, and I just ended up in fashion. I also work as a creative director and a consultant. I'm consulting fashion editor at Irish Tattler, and I'm on the board of directors for the Institute of Designers in Ireland. It's a pretty new accolade, but I have had multiple roles during my career, which always overlap and are kind of concurrent, from magazine founder, editor, mentor, writer, stylist, creative director, advocate. There's lots of things that are always happening within me, I guess, and within the work that I do. I was the Fashion and Textiles Advisor for ID 2015, which was a government initiative to showcase Irish fashion on national and international platforms, and I have produced and creative directed multiple events for London Fashion Week to showcase Irish fashion. I developed a scholarship for an Irish student to study a Masters in Fashion Design at the Royal College of Art in London, and pretty soon I am going to be starting, we're going to be starting Ireland's very first professional diploma in fashion communications I'm not sure. Yeah. Or can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, good. If you can't, just say so. But you can haggle me or whatever, I don't mind. But anyway, I'm going to fashion communication, that's going to be launching in NCAD, and I'm pretty proud of that, I guess, as well. So this has been a pretty amazing roller coaster of a journey. I have no background or education background in fashion, and every project is different, and every project pushes me and challenges me in new ways, and I guess I love that and I thrive on that. My practice is very much founded in Ireland, and while I spent many years beating myself up about this, should I be in London, I should be in London, I should be in London, I eventually turned that around, and I made it into the heart really of everything that I do. So let's see if this works. Maybe it will, but let's change the slide. So, but anyway, the native theme, I guess, is very core to my work. That's easy for me to talk about. But before I start singing rebel songs, stole that one from Cillian Murphy, by the way. But I'm actually half Sicilian. So my dad is from Sicily, and he's from a small town in the mountains in the province of Palermo called Ganji, and all my family is, well, like, I have a very big Italian family. I spent all of my summers, most of my Easters, the odd Christmas in Sicily in this little town up until the age of 17 or 18 when I was able to go off and do my own thing. But it's a really big part of my life. Where am I? Yeah, but I guess like many people of dual cultures, I've always felt like an outsider. So it was actually through my work in fashion that I slowly started to claim my own identity and explore my own sense of place and celebrate my own Irish cultural reference points. So, okay, so identity and fashion. They are inherently connected. And I guess my own personal identity and my work in fashion are also very connected. It is my job, but I put everything of me into everything that I do. And as lots of creative people do, and as lots of people, people, that's just, I guess, what we can do with ourselves. But yeah, so my Irish identity and my work in fashion are also inherently connected. This is a shoot for, Them magazine, a Japanese magazine, who commissioned a photographer called Lorcan Finnegan, who does these amazing kind of like off-the-cuff street cast photos around Dublin. And they commissioned him to shoot in his style of work in Dublin. They did a whole issue on Ireland. So it's a really special issue of Them, Japan, a really cool Japanese fashion magazine, and it's all about Ireland. Anyway, we got to do this like great series around Dublin 8 and Meath Street and Thomas Street. And of course, I used Irish designers alongside Balenciaga and, all of the other guys, but yeah. So I guess identity and fashion are very much connected. But this is something I guess that I can say as well in hindsight. Sorry, I'm just going to skip that. But yeah, I guess I'm super proud to be working in fashion in Ireland now, and there's no way that I would have had the same opportunities to do what I do if I were anywhere else. So when I talk about fashion in Ireland, as much as I think it's really important to know where we've come from, for me it's really important to imagine where we might be going with it, and it's about creating new narratives and new stories. And I do this by connecting partnerships with designers, with other communities in art and fashion and design and education. But yeah, we can go on. Yeah, brilliant. So I guess I'm going to just talk a bit about 3 platforms, which are all different showcases that I'm working on or have worked on for fashion in Ireland. I'm going to start off talking about Irish Tatler. So we can skip on, actually, yeah. So I joined the masthead for Irish Tatler as consulting fashion editor in 2020, but my first editorial for the magazine was published in 2004. So that is, a pretty long journey, and the magazine that it is today is a very different magazine to what it was in 2004. And I guess I'm proud of the role that I've had in bringing that into the light, into the world, or into the contemporary world. I guess what's important for me about Irish Tatler is how I use my position as consulting fashion editor, and I use the platform of a national publication to present the very best of Irish fashion industry. So that's Irish designers, it's Irish talent, it's photographers, casting, models, hair and makeup people. Locations are also really important. Again, it's about kind of creating this storytelling in a very considered and through a very considered lens and a very contemporary perspective on Ireland. So my main role for Irish Tatler is the cover editorial shoots. So I work very closely with the editor, Jessie Collins, and I basically creative director and produce the cover shoots. And I hear from her if this is going to be it. So they're going to be a talent or a fashion editorial, and then I basically come up with the concept and put together the team and produce the shoot. And so that's everything from, yes, picking the clothes, but it's working across all elements of the shoot, from the kind of initial, okay, we're shooting Katrina Balfe, and and then I have to go ahead and make that into something. And so working with the talent is a very different story to working with a model. But I guess I always use the same building blocks, and it's always about doing my very best to showcase Irish fashion in the best way, in the best international way. For me, it's really important to have a very international perspective, even though I'm engaging constantly with Irish talent and Irish, I guess, fashion industry. It's really important for everything to be very internationally focused and of that standard. Yeah. So I guess Yvonne, just flicking through the images here, some of the images from Irish Tatler, and I guess I put these together. These are just editorial images, but they talk about the different building blocks that I would have for talking about fashion on this platform. It's always using Irish designers, but alongside global brands. So I work really hard as a stylist in Ireland to maintain and build connections with international brands like Prada or Louis Vuitton or Dior or whoever, like all of those big names. Like, for me, it is really important that we have our Irish designers. I mean, obviously Simone Roche is massive now, but we've Robin Lynch, we have Sorcha O'Reilly, we have small designers from Diva, Banshee of Savile Row, women's Irish tailor on Savile Row, Maria McManus in New York, little knitwear designer Moss and Cable from up the north. So I'm always bringing in these brands into this I guess international fashion storytelling. And I also, for me, it's really important that it's not just models. I mean, models are beautiful and wonderful and amazing, but I guess the way that even I work with models is very much about I always cast them for Ben over here has worked with me, and he knows. I guess I always really bring them in. It's not just about. I never just approach somebody to dress them or to put clothes on them. It's always a collaborative relationship. And there's nothing nicer than those last pictures are from a series that I did with photographer Doreen Kilfeather down in Strandhill in Sligo, and we went down there with, I had my big bag of clothes, and we worked with the surfing community down there. And to be able to, there's such joy in that, to be able to engage with a community of children and, women and men and people of all ages and body sizes, and, and to get them excited by fashion and to try things that they wouldn't have tried, and to experience fashion and experience Irish fashion in that way is something that brings me a lot of joy. So the next project, another project that I was going to talk to you about is called Old Song Resung, and I worked on it late last year. It was a broadcast production for RTÉ. I'm just going to read this bit actually again. So, it was a production by South Wind Blows and Other Voices, and it was part of the Decade of Centenaries programme, charting the historical development of Ireland from 1912 to 1923, which was a pretty horrible, turbulent time as well. And it was created as a live broadcast for RTÉ, which is also an institution which is going through some pretty rocky moments. But that said, and it was a massive production, but that said, it was one of the most patriotic and beautiful experiences that I've ever had. I was brought in as the stylist. It was produced by Other Voices, which is an amazing music. They put on music events around Ireland in beautiful places, but they wouldn't really work with stylists. It's very low key. It's like, I just rocked up from the pub and now I'm going to sit down and sing my song or whatever, you know what I mean? So working with the stylist was something really new for them. So they just handed it all over to me again, just gave me everything. But what they gave me was over 70 artists and a timeline of about 3.5 weeks from the first production meeting to our live broadcast, our live recording, to dress all of these people. But I got to do this. But the one thing that they did want to do, and this is what attracted me to the job as well, was that they wanted to dress everybody in Irish designers. So to me, to put on a production like that and not feature Irish designers would have been an absolute crime. And I think they didn't want to make any more mistakes. So thankfully, so that was an amazing opportunity for me, I guess, to be able to be the conduit and turn that platform into something brilliant. And I featured but I also worked with my team. I have an amazing team of people who work with me. I'm really lucky. I've had people working with me for years. So I have a little family that works together. But yeah, I featured over 30 designers across menswear, women's wear, jewellery, accessories, dressing 70 people. And this wasn't just 70 people, this was 70 legends. There was everybody from Loa, The Scratch, Denise Chila, Dermot Kennedy, Damien Dempsey, Aidan Gillen, massive bands of people. I mean, there was just John Francis Flynn. There was so many amazing, incredible Irish talents. But I have to say that they were the most beautiful group of people. There was such everybody was so appreciative of having me and my team there to just help them look their best on stage, and they just engaged and loved the Irish designers. It was a really, really beautiful kind of opportunity to be able to do that, and for the designers who were then broadcast on RTE, and their granny saw it, and they got to use it as content on social media, and it was a huge moment for them as well. And people did so much. There was so many custom pieces made, Dermot Kennedy. That little bow, he's wearing a Simone Rocha t-shirt, and the bow is a Simone Rocha bow, but that little bow was handmade in Simone's studio in London, and then we sewed it on the t-shirt over here just to lift that plain t-shirt a little bit more for the performance. And he's wearing a pair of trousers by a guy called Loris Brimmers, who makes the most amazing menswear. It's all made in Dublin. But if you go back one, I actually just wanted to talk about Denise's look and about Denise Chila. She's an amazing artist. I've worked with her a number of times before, so that's lovely to have a relationship there, but she is a total legend. And in this look for this production, she really wanted to pull back the bling, I guess, She shaved her head and she wanted to show her natural hair. She would normally wear a wig, but she wanted to show her natural hair for this performance. She was performing a piece called Dual Citizen, because she is of Irish and Zambian descent. And so this was a really important moment for her. And she wanted to take everything back and kind of present herself in a new light, which was, and you're working with somebody, and it's a very kind of, dressing anybody is a very intimate thing. But what we did was, this is a custom look that my assistant Rian O'Donovan, who's incredible, made for her. We customized some pieces of this most beautiful Irish tweed, and then the on her head she's wearing a handmade piece of Carrickmacross lace by the women up in Carrickmacross outside Monaghan, and then I put it on her head as a little headpiece instead. But she also had a really traumatic accident just weeks before the event, and so she had her leg in a brace, and such a total rock star, like, you know, I'm doing this, and like, you know, she arrived for fittings in my studio, which is not on a ground floor, and she got herself up the stairs on her bum, you know, just in order to, like, you know, get everything on. But she's seated because she can't stand, and the drape over her leg is covering her leg brace. So there's always so much behind, like, that's just one look, and again, I could talk for hours on kind of any of them. So 70 people, I think we should move on. But maybe there's just...
Chorda Thomas already asked Megan, Nick, Rudy, Sheila, Denver, Cleva, Neil, Agus, Cahill, O, Coron, Agus, Pierce, O, Lurka, Maeve, Megan, Agus, Liam, O, Willie, Colin,
These guys were deadly, blowing a hoga. And I just was like walked backstage and found them there making this little video. But like that made me so happy because they were so happy in their clothes. You know, like, oh shit, that's 20 minutes. Sorry. Okay, I might just skip that one then and go on to the next project. So people have to go to work. Yeah. Have to go to work, or somebody has to go to school. Maybe she's gone. Anyway. Oh yeah, so the last thing I was going to talk about was Thread. So Thread is a magazine that I produced with my two friends, Keith Nally and Garrett Pitcher. And this is an old project. It's from 2011. And we produced 9 issues of the magazine between 2011 and 2018. And it was a fashion magazine for Dublin, and it was free. But and it's gone off. But anyway, Thread kind of came out of an environment whereby I felt like back in 2011 and my friends, it was Celtic Tiger crash and all of that. But we felt that there was no perspective. That our perspective on fashion and Ireland in general was not being presented anywhere in publishing, in the media in Ireland, and that needed to change. So I'm really proud of Thread because I feel like it kind of, the period of publishing documents a real shift in Irish attitude towards Irish identity, and like now it's all really, you know, everybody's embracing our kind of history, our culture, our folklore. You know, there's a lot more connection with heritage fabrics and across music and fashion and art in so many ways. But this was really at a time where that narrative wasn't being discussed. It wasn't out there. And again, it was just about presenting emerging talent alongside established talent, Irish designers alongside international designers, opening up the idea of casting and diversity and, you know, who we see on the pages of magazines, opening up the idea of fashion, that it's not just fashion clothes, fashion design and fashion shows with cocktails, you know what I mean, that it's not shopping pages, that it is a design industry and there are creative directors. That's a piece that Johnny wrote about folklore and fashion. You know, I got to commission work from other up-and-coming, or from other emerging stylists and photographers and give a platform to them as well. So we were really kind of creating a space which was there to build a community in Ireland and to build an international perspective on Ireland, that it was okay to be working in fashion in Ireland, and it was okay actually to be from Ireland. You know, things like the Rem Boys. This is stylist Kieran Kilgallen, who is absolutely killing it now. He is in London. Photographer Andrew Nuding. He is also working globally as a fashion photographer, like giving these guys a voice and a space at that time, whereas like Irish Tatler wasn't going to publish them then. Maybe they would now, maybe not. But you know what I mean, like there was we had to do something, and we were talking about in the magazine what was it to be Irish, you know, and like, I guess this was an interview with imagery, and it was about go there to come back. So it was about people who go abroad and then they come back, or, you know, can you come back and what have you learnt and what can you bring back with you and what can you build now that you're here. So I should probably stop talking. But, oh yeah, so this is just a slide. This is the new creative, what is it again? It's a professional diploma in fashion communication for NCAD. And just like Thread, I'm bringing, you know, a network of international talent in fashion industry together to kind of build a new community through education, through professional learning, really, and to kind of support another generation, I hope, of people who want to think that fashion is cool. That's it.